Recently in Wisconsin, a large group of people stormed into a North Face store and stole $30,000 in merchandise. And this is what's referred to as a flash rob. Now, ABC News calls it a flash mob, but this is not necessarily a new trend. But you may have seen the story about the young woman, turns out she's like 17, who licked the ice cream, put it back, and is facing prison. There's an update on that story in that I believe they're not going to pursue charging her as an adult, and so she'll probably end up getting some like juvenile slap on the wrist. Lucky for her. I also think it's silly to threaten someone with 20 years in prison because they did something dumb like lick ice cream. Listen, I understand the ripple effect of tampering with, stuff at the store and how, it causes a lot of problems. But let's stop the meme in its tracks and stop the young people from doing dumb things, because sometimes young people do dumb things. You don't deserve 20 years in prison because you licked ice cream and put it back. Sorry. You've got some other videos of people like scooping ice cream and someone guzzling mouthwash. It doesn't matter if they staged it. It doesn't matter if it was they purchased it afterwards. They still contaminated a product, and you don't know what they did or didn't. There's going to have to be a review and a recall. Plain and simple. Don't do it. But anyway, in light of this news, I saw this story and I thought it'd be interesting to talk about other trends in how people target stores. So it's not the first time we've seen a flash rob. It looks like this photo is a different store that was raided and oh no, I'm sorry, that's the earthquake. That's a photo of the earthquake. The reason I assumed this was probably a flash rob is that if you're not familiar, it's something I've known about since I was a kid in Chicago, where people would, like 20 kids from the local high school would run full speed into 7-Eleven, yelling, going, ah, and then just grabbing whatever they want and running out. It's not a new trend, but in light of what we saw with the other stores, I thought it'd be an interesting thing to talk about. So let's read this story, and then I'll talk. I got an older story, way older story about the prevalence of flash robbing that I think is interesting. Before we do this, head over to timcast.com/donate if you'd like to support my work. There's a monthly donation option through PayPal, a cryptocurrency option, and a physical address. But of course, YouTube no longer suggests my videos, as I mentioned in the last video and many videos, because of the censorship problem. So if you like my content, I need you to suggest it to your friends by sharing it on social media, because they don't anymore. For the most part, they still do a little bit. But word of mouth. If you don't feel like it's worth being shared, then I don't deserve it. So let's read the news. A 10-person flash mob made off with up to $30,000 worth of merchandise from a North Face store in Wisconsin this week. Wait, what just happened? So it's playing the video here, but then it disappears. Let me close this and see if it'll play the video. No, it won't. Whatever. Well, you can see in this image, you've got a bunch of dudes running in and just grabbing clothes and running out. They say the incident occurred Monday night in Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin, when the 10 men entered the store with purpose. Police Chief David Smetana? That's a weird... Oh, Smetana told ABC News. They were gone from the store within 30 seconds. They knew exactly which area they were going to approach in the store, which clothing items they wanted. Smetana said, the incident was captured on surveillance footage. No injuries were reported and no employees of the outdoor gear store were confronted. Smetana said investigators were working with other police departments where similar events have occurred. He added that similar acts have happened in the area before, but not to this level. They grab as many items as they can, and they leave the store in multiple vehicles, he said. If you're lucky enough to catch one of them, the other ones have gotten away at that point, and that is the point. So let's refresh this and see if I can get the video. There's video of it that I want to play. I know if you're listening on the podcast, you're not going to be able to see it, but I mean, there it is. For those that are listening, it's a large group of men running full speed into the store. There's a bunch of clothing on various racks, like at any department store, and they grab handfuls of shirts and random clothes and run out. What's crazy about this? I don't know what you're going to do with 15 of the same shirt in different sizes. Unless I guess they're going to sell it on Craigslist, I have no idea. But ABC is wrong. This is not a flash mob. It's a flash rob. And so I found this article from Crime Museum. I don't know what Crime Museum is, but they talk about the concept of a flash rob. And then they show an image of a flash mob. I'm not going to read through this article because I have a better one pulled up from 2011 talking about flash mobs turning criminal. I will read some of this, but I do want to, I'll tell you a little bit about my understanding of this. So I mentioned just a few minutes ago about how, kids would run into 7-Eleven. This is something I've personally seen with kids in my neighborhood. And that's why I referenced 7-Eleven specifically. They would all get out of school at the same time, and then you'd have like a group of literally 30 teenagers and they would all just pour straight into the store. They would hold their hands in the air like, ah, like yelling, and they would just take all the candy bars, they would take drinks, and the stores couldn't do anything about it. In response, many of the stores would put up signs saying only 2 kids in the store at a time, which literally did nothing, because the point of a flash rob is to everybody run in full speed. So they don't care about your sign. They're there to break the law. And the purpose is, with so many kids at once, you can't catch everybody. And even if they caught one person, that one person claimed they didn't do anything and didn't know better. In fact, many of these flash robs could have just been spontaneous, like 3 of the kids may have been friends and didn't know who the other kids were, and as soon as it starts, they all run in and engage in the action. Hey, look, man, kids do dumb things. But let's read this article. It's from Time Magazine from 2011. It says, they gather in masses, organized through social media or during large events to shock and stop witnesses in their tracks. But these aren't satirical flash mobs. They're planned heists, and they're gaining momentum in youth circles across the country. As we've just seen, they still happen. Stores in cities from St. Paul, Minnesota, to Las Vegas and Washington have been the first to experience... Actually, let's make this a little bigger. It's hard to read. They say, have been the first to experience this frightening and dangerous new trend, which has developed in part because of the growing popularity of flash mobs, or large gatherings in public places, which often include unusual acts of or choreographed dances. I will say, though, as far as I know, this stuff was happening in my neighborhood back in like 2002, 2003. They say, while flash mobs are mostly peaceful and created for pure entertainment, flash robberies, otherwise known as flash robs, are just the opposite. A flash rob occurs when a large group of young people swarms a store, grabs as much merchandise as they can carry, and runs off within minutes, leaving shopkeepers stunned and with thousands of dollars worth of losses. Just weeks ago, more than a dozen young people overtook the G-Star Raw store in D.C. and made out with more than $20,000 worth of merchandise. 2 weeks earlier in Georgetown, a group of about 20 to 25 stormed a t-shirt shop to steal Georgetown University gear, then effectively pushed the owner out of the way as she hopelessly attempted to block the door. You know, I was thinking when I was reading these stories, I'm like, what if you had an emergency drop down? Where as soon as the raiders come in full speed, you hit a button and boom, gates drop down like it was a bank or something. And you could put a motion sensor in so that only if the doors are clear do the gates come down. Then they're trapped. Then what do? Then you go in your office, lock the door, and you call the police. The police come. There you go. You caught everybody, right? They do this for jewelry stores, I know. Like if somebody comes in and tries to steal something, the doors don't open because they're just locked. Maybe that's a way to solve the problem. You walk in and the door locks behind you and someone has to manually let you out. That probably wouldn't work for a large department store, but let's read on. They say, clothing stores aren't the only targets. In February, Care 11 in Minneapolis-St. Paul reported numerous flash rob incidents at local convenience stores. In one such occurrence, a clerk who tried to stop a gang of 20 teens was physically assaulted by one of the thieves, who then pushed over a display on his way out the door. Not only are these robberies blatant acts of thievery, but to a point they're almost shameless, often occurring in daytime hours with little to no regard for security cameras or fear of getting caught. Because of this, flash robs have not only become fodder for YouTube, and there's the point, but have also helped authorities identify and catch some of the perps. For the most part, there's not much that store owners can do to prevent the attacks or stop one that is in progress, except to keep their safety as the number one priority. As Andy Skugman, spokesperson for the St. Paul Police Department, tells Care 11, the inclination might be to try to stop it. We don't want people to do that. We want store employees to be witnesses to the shopping, not victims of assault. So the important takeaway from this is the YouTube, right? And that's why I kind of thought it would be interesting to talk about. I know it's not the biggest story in the world. It's just a group of people stealing clothes. But the issue is how young people keep taking more extreme actions to gain popularity on social media. The woman who licked the ice cream, the person who gargled the mouthwash, put it back, the guy who scooped out the ice cream, they're doing it for clout on social media, and it works. They don't get in trouble. And so long as they don't get in trouble, they'll keep doing it. They mention that there's, potential for this because people go on YouTube and know they can get attention. We've seen crazy stories about one dude had his girlfriend shoot him with a gun through books. It didn't work. Dude died, girl got in trouble. People are increasingly taking dangerous actions for YouTube recognition. While this isn't the case, like is it this specific incident isn't a case of that, there's potential that, at least in my opinion, this stuff can become more prevalent, just like any of the other, viral flash incidents, viral prank trends or whatever. People are going to pretend to do things. The hoaxes, the pranks will be staged, but then turn into real life actions. And then you'll probably start seeing more of this hit the media. Now it's in the news. It's in ABC. We've already seen the trend several years ago. It's going to keep happening. So anyway, that's this story. I got one more story coming up for you in a few minutes, and I will see you shortly.